The evening air was cool when I checked into the little countryside hotel with my grandson, Oliver. It wasn't luxurious by any means, just a quaint place with wooden beams, a fireplace in the lobby, and that faint smell of old carpet mixed with lavender cleaning spray. My husband was away on another business trip, something that had become so frequent it barely surprised me anymore. I had begun to fill those quiet stretches of time by taking Oliver for little adventures, hoping to keep my heart from sinking into the emptiness our home sometimes carried. He was only 9, full of questions and energy, the kind that reminded me what joy once felt like before routine swallowed it whole. As soon as we entered the room, he jumped onto the bed, his laughter echoing against the cream-colored walls. "Grandma, look. It's so bouncy," he said, throwing himself backward like the mattress was a cloud meant just for him. I couldn't help but laugh, a sound that felt foreign but good in my chest. I sat on the edge of the second bed, smoothing the blanket, watching him move around with an ease I had long forgotten I could feel. He wanted to explore everything, from the complimentary snacks to the tiny bottles of shampoo lined neatly in the bathroom. He even picked up the hotel notepad and began writing a list of things to do, as though we were on a great expedition. We ordered room service that night, something my husband never liked to do because he said it was a waste of money. But I wanted Oliver to have fun, so I let him pick anything he wanted. He chose pancakes with chocolate chips and extra syrup. I got tea and a small plate of fruit. When the food came, he insisted on setting it up properly on the small table near the window. The two of us sat there, city lights flickering beyond the glass, the faint hum of cars below. Between bites of pancake, Oliver looked up and asked, "Grandma, do you get lonely when Grandpa's gone?" His voice was soft, sincere, far too perceptive for his age. The question hit me in a way I hadn't expected. I smiled faintly, stirring my tea, unsure how much truth a child should hear. "Sometimes," I said finally. "But then I have you, don't I?" He nodded, his small hand reaching across the table to hold mine for a second. After dinner, he turned on the TV, but I found myself watching him instead. The glow of the screen lit up his face, and I realized how much life existed in the smallest things. The crinkle of laughter, the way his feet dangled off the edge of the chair, the unfiltered way he expressed wonder. It was strange how a simple night in a modest hotel could feel warmer than years spent in a grand house with a husband who barely looked up from his phone. Later that night, the rain began to fall softly outside, tapping against the window like an old melody. Oliver had fallen asleep beside me after insisting we watch a nature documentary about sea turtles. His small hand rested on my arm, his breathing steady, the kind of peaceful rhythm that only children have. I turned off the television, and the room fell into a gentle quiet, the kind that wrapped around you like a blanket. I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of silence that I'd grown used to at home, but somehow it felt different here, less empty, more reflective. My husband's absence wasn't unusual, but tonight, it seemed to echo louder. Maybe it was the quiet hotel room, or maybe it was the soft reminder of what connection truly felt like, lying right next to me in the form of a sleeping boy. I got up and walked toward the window, pulling the curtains slightly apart. The streetlights glowed amber through the rain, and the parking lot shimmered under their light. My reflection stared back at me from the glass, a face older, softer, marked, with lines of patience and waiting. I could almost hear my husband's voice in my mind, telling me he'd be home in a few days, saying it like it was nothing, like time didn't stretch differently for the one left behind. I pressed my palm against the window, feeling the coolness through the glass. Somewhere deep down, I realized I had become used to being the background in my own life, quietly holding things together while he pursued something else, something that always took him away. Suddenly, a small voice stirred behind me. "Grandma." Oliver mumbled sleepily, rubbing his eyes. Why aren't you sleeping? I turned, smiling softly. Just watching the rain, I said. He sat up, dragging the blanket around his shoulders like a cape. Can I watch too? He asked, his voice half awake but filled with curiosity. I nodded, and he padded over, standing beside me at the window. We both looked out at the rain in silence for a moment before he whispered, "It looks like the sky is crying." His words, simple and innocent, pierced something in me I didn't know was still tender. I looked down at him, his wide eyes reflecting the light outside, and for the first time in a long while, I let myself feel the ache I always pushed away. Oliver leaned his head against my arm and said, "Grandpa will come back soon, right?" I swallowed the lump in my throat and nodded. "Yes, sweetheart. He always comes back." But even as I said it, I wondered if, coming back, still meant the same thing it once did. I put my arm around him, drawing him close, and we stood there for a long time, just watching the rain together. The quiet felt different now, less lonely, more like a reminder that even when someone drifts away, love still finds a way to fill the empty spaces, sometimes through the smallest, most unexpected hearts. The next morning, sunlight poured through the thin hotel curtains, painting golden lines across the bed sheets. I woke to the sound of Oliver giggling softly, sitting cross-legged at the foot of the bed with a notepad in hand. He was scribbling something furiously, his tongue poking out in concentration the way kids do when they're focused. "What are you working on, sweetheart?" I asked, my voice still heavy with sleep. He looked up, grinning. "A list of happy things," he said. I smiled, curious. "Happy things?" He nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, things that make us smile. You told me last night that sometimes you feel lonely. So, I thought if we write happy things, maybe we won't feel lonely anymore." For a moment, I just stared at him, the simplicity and thoughtfulness of his idea touching something deep inside me. He handed me the notepad, and I scanned the uneven letters. 1. Pancakes with extra syrup. 2. Grandma's stories. 3. Rain sounds. 4. Grandpa's hugs. 5. Warm blankets. Each word seemed to carry more meaning than its simplicity suggested. "You forgot one," I said gently. "What's that?" he asked. "You," I replied, tapping the page. He giggled again, the kind of laughter that makes the whole world seem lighter. I reached for the pen and added a few of my own, morning sunlight. A child's smile. The smell of tea. As I wrote, I realized how long it had been since I'd stopped to think about what truly brought me joy. Life had become a series of routines, conversations filled with polite exchanges, and quiet dinners where love had turned into habit. But here, in this small, unremarkable hotel room, I was rediscovering the beauty in moments that didn't need to be grand to matter. After breakfast, we went for a walk near the small lake behind the hotel. The air was fresh and cool, the water glistening under the sun like scattered glass. Oliver ran ahead, skipping stones, his laughter echoing across the stillness. I followed slowly, taking in the scent of wet earth and pine. For a fleeting moment, I wished my husband were there, not out of longing, but because I wanted him to see what he'd been missing. The simplicity, the purity of this piece, the reminder that love didn't need grand gestures to be felt. It lived in these quiet, fleeting seconds, like watching your grandson's reflection ripple across the water. Oliver came running back, holding a smooth stone in his hand. "For you," he said proudly. "Because it's shiny, like your eyes when you smile." I laughed softly, taking it from him, feeling its cool weight in my palm. It wasn't much, a small stone, a simple morning, but somehow it felt like the beginning of something real again. I realized then that maybe love doesn't disappear when people grow distant, it just waits patiently to be noticed again, sometimes through the eyes of a child who still believes every day has something beautiful to offer.